I believe that quotations are distilled wisdom. There are other people who've thought for a long, long time about things and put in a pithy way what they've concluded. And here's one of my favourites, and I've mentioned it before in my emails, but it's so important that it's worth mentioning again. And it's the statement that honesty is not only the best policy, it is rare enough nowadays to make you pleasantly conspicuous. When you're trying to sell things to people, they're so surprised that you come out with the truth. Yeah? And surprise is one of the most powerful elements in persuasion. It's one of the most powerful elements in any form of creative activity, anything where you want to get people's attention. Surprise. For instance, Haydn, the great composer, once said that, he said, every now and then I like to make a loud noise to wake the audience up. And he actually wrote a symphony called the Surprise Symphony. Well, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is that when people try and tell you things, they usually make crazy claims and everything is wonderful and nothing can go wrong and isn't it marvellous? And when somebody suddenly comes along and tells you the truth, because you know it's not true, there's something in you saying, I know that's not true. Yeah? So when somebody comes along and tells you the truth, that gets your attention and you say, oh, this person is honest. And because you say this person is honest, you're thinking that you're going to believe them. That's why surprise is important. Yeah? Now, the man that I mentioned, who's I'm sorry, I'm pausing at the moment. I'm just doing this. You probably noticed, if you haven't, I just do this as though I was talking to some of the copywriters that used to work for me, or some of the executives that used to work for me. This is the way I would talk to them. It's the way I'm talking to you. The quotation comes from Charles E. Brower, Charlie Brower, who was a copywriter and who rose to become the head of what was then one of the largest agencies in the world, and is still one of the largest agencies in the world. It's an agency called Batten, Barton, Durston and Osborne, BBD&O. The name is so strange that actually there was a great joke made about it to the effect that it sounded like a man. It was a name which sounded like a man falling downstairs with carrying a heavy trunk. Batten, Barton, Durston and Osborne. Well, Batten, Barton, Durston and Osborne was actually in terrible trouble when eventually Charles Brower came to be the head of the agency, and he rescued that agency. And interestingly enough, if you're interested in copy, you might be encouraged to know that when I was much younger, and I was the creative director of an agency in London, I did some research and I discovered that at that time, which was 1965, 19 of the top 25 agencies in the world were run by ex-copywriters. For instance, David Ogilvy was an ex-copywriter, Raymond Rubicon was an ex-copywriter, and so on. And I'm going to quote Raymond Rubicon in the next one of these little messages over the Christmas period. So try honesty, try telling the truth. And before I finish, I'm going to show you something, an advertisement written by somebody who was not a copywriter, but who created a sensation in one of the most difficult areas of marketing you can imagine, and that's in the sales of property or real estate, as they call it in America and I think in Australia and many other countries. So this guy wrote ads that told the truth. And here's one of his ads. And read it for a bit, yeah? I should tell you that this ad ran, 40 years ago, nearly 50 years ago, I think. but he sold so much property because he was the first person who ever actually uh, told the truth. People were surprised. God, he's telling the truth. The property is in a bit of a state, but it's a good deal. So there you are. If you want to succeed, you should try telling the truth. Try being honest. Admit to your failings, because then people are more inclined to believe in your virtues. Yeah. If you want to know anything more about anything to do with how to sell, how to do better marketing, then may I suggest that you go and have a look at Ask Drayton, because believe me, it's helped an awful lot of people like you, and I've got a hell of a good deal on